letting me watch it. Oh. Do I need to refresh this or what? Oh, here it is.
Welcome, everybody, to the Twisted Pair. I'm Graybeard.
And I am Fine Ash Red. Hello, hello, hello.
And tonight we have got a really, I guess it's kind of a special show because this is our first full meal pairing, meaning that we've got a full dinner. In fact, here's mine. I've got rotisserie chicken and mashed potatoes and cilantro rice. Plus, we have a drink, and we're pairing our cigar to all of that together.
So, and I'm just going to here you go. Here is, y'all get to see my beautiful setup here. So I also have rotisserie chicken. I have mac and cheese. And then I have squash casserole, I believe is what I have over there. And then I have, because I know that I have 2 cigars and 1 wine. And the reason I'm going to say that I have 2 cigars is because I have the shorter cigars. So I don't know. It may take us longer to do the cigars because we are eating. We are adding the element of food. But whenever I paired my cigars at home with food, I usually go through 2 cigars while I eat, which is probably insane.
Right. But we're adding food to the element of food to our pairing, where we're already talking a lot as it is, and we're talking through the notes.
Right.
We're talking, and what's going to be interesting with this is because the cigar is not going to change the notes to the food.
No.
Just like the wine doesn't change the notes to the food, but it is going to enhance it, and it's going to enhance the overall experience with it.
Right.
So, like you said, I have paired a lot of cigars with foods and full meals, and and drinks, both whiskeys and wines. But this is going to be interesting in talking, and the fact that we're both outside and it's like 52 degrees here, and I know my chicken's already cold, but that's fine because cold chicken's amazing.
Yeah, my chicken's cold. But I also want to say, if you are pairing a meal with your food, please let us know what you're pairing. We try to let y'all know what we're doing with the chicken, the rotisserie chicken, and the cigars, and ahead of time. So hopefully you were able to get that. So and what sides and what you're smoking. So I'm excited about it. So I would like to know what wine or what type of wine you're doing, because.
So I am doing an Italian wine, and I'm going to show it to you, and then I'm going to tab over and read the notes. So you'll be able to see me, but I won't be able to see you while I'm reading the notes on it. So this is Anima Negra, number 2, and this is from Spain. And here's what it says. Okay, it says deep ruby red in color, which, I mean, you can tell from the glass that indeed it is. Aroma of savory spices, wild raspberries, dark cherry fruit, and a hint of violets and smokiness. So we'll see if my palate says the same. On the palate, the wine is silky and elegant with intense flavors and a mature fruit. And it says to pair with pork chops, rabbit, roast leg of duck, and chicken. This is a 65% Calais, 20% Montenegro, Faugenou, however you say that, and 15% Syrah. But what I found is interesting. So this is the 2018. The guys behind the winery, they didn't come together. They're 2 friends, really not much older than what we are. And they formed the winery in I want to say it was in 2014, or maybe around that time period. So, but they worked in wineries.
Right.
They grew up in wineries, obviously. In Italy, and I got this wine from the Wine Society probably about 2 years ago. I think about 2 years ago. So this has been sitting in my wine fridge for a while.
Oh, nice.
It's got some extra added age to it.
Very, very nice. And what are you smoking?
I am smoking the Luciano. This is Dreamer. And this is he calls it something else. I call it a mini Robusto.
Yeah, he does call it. I was trying to remember, but I can't. It's a mini Robusto.
I'm sure Bert will tell us. But this is, it's a great cigar. This is an Ecuadorian Corojo 2012 wrapper with Nicaraguan, and I want to say it was, it's not Puerto Rico, it's the other country that starts with a P. Peruvian fillers and Nicaraguan binder.
Okay. So what I am doing, and I'm because I kind of told you I went on a rant before we started, so I'm gonna y'all are gonna hear my rant too. Okay.
Not a big rant, just a little rant.
A little, but I want to know for educational purposes, because we know in this, I like my wines, I enjoy my wines, but that's not my strong suit. So this is why I'm here. So I'm doing a Texas wine. This is one of my favorite wines. I have been drinking this wine. I don't know, probably since it's come out, like, in all honesty, probably since they created this. So this is from Messina Hoff. So it is, they have the winery, they have one in Lubbock, because Lubbock is really good with, has a lot of wineries, vineyards out there, Lubbock, Texas, and another, and also Grapevine. So they have the actual, where you can go do the tasting and winery and Grapevine, which is not far from you. So nope. This is Bo. And I'm just going to read what it is. So Messina Hoff has actually been in Texas since 1977. So they've been around for like a long time. And it's crazy because it was two families who both married into each other and created the winery. So they had a heritage of 7 generations of winery. So this couple had, each side had 7 generations, and then they marry, and then they create Messina Hoff, which is really, really cool. So and they came from Sicily and Germany. So it was, Italian and German. So that's kind of like the backstory. I thought that was pretty cool. So as we stated, this is a Texas wine. It's a blended red grape, right? Muscat and Canali. Is that how you say it? So it's a lighter red wine. Okay. And it's semi-sweet, but it's also fruity and floral. And it's got they suggest that you pair it with spicy foods, barbecue, and grilled. So we're having, like, our grilled chicken rotisserie. So that is what I'm having. But here is where I kind of got like shocked. As I said, I've been drinking this wine forever. Graybeard, you have seen it. Y'all have seen it on my Instagram post for like 2 or 3 years.
We've seen it on the show.
Yeah, on the show. Look at this, y'all. I went to open it and pour it so it could air out, right? It is a screw top. I've always had a cork with it. I've always had a cork. So, to me, whenever I think screw top, I think of the cheaper wine. Don't ask me why. And yes, this is a cheaper wine, but you would never know that you're paying $20, $30, $40 for it. It is right. That good. But my thing is I've noticed that a lot of wines are going to screw top more than cork. So my thing is I know that the cork, it keeps it, that pressure's there, and so that's why I was asking you. Is I want us to talk about it because I'm going to see like if I can taste anything different or whatever. But I just was I that just threw me for a loop because I've been drinking it for years, and now so. And then here is my cigar that I'm pairing with is the
Viva the
Elite.
Millennial.
Yes. So it is, it's a medium, you know, and when we talk about medium, it's got some intense flavors on it, but they're not overpowering. It's not like intense in your face. So it's more of a less intense, I guess I would say. So, but it transitions through the work. So that's why I picked this one. So anyway, so that kind of starts me off, and I'm sorry I went on my little rant about the screw top, but inquiring minds need to know: is there anything? What is your thoughts on screw tops? And also, y'all chime in. So right
So,
here,
you're right. A lot of wineries are going to screw tops. Now, is there a difference between the pressure on those? No, because these wines aren't pressurized in the same way as what champagnes are. And champagnes they're pressurized when we go to open them because of the carbonation, because of the bubblies in them, right?
right,
So some wines will still have that, especially some of your sweeter wines, like your Rieslings, may have that. Your Moscatos will have, if you've ever had a Moscato, it's not a sparkling wine
right,
by classification, but a Moscato does have a little bit of what looks like bubblies in it. And that's from that's and I'm trying to remember right on this. I believe that's just how the sugar is just interacted with the oxygen. So it's like when your sugar is dissolving, you're dissolving the sugar in water, it kind of bubbles a little bit in there.
right.
So should you see a difference between the corked and the screw top capped? I
Oh,
really don't think that you're going to see a difference. Where that's going to be really come down into the difference, though, is because we lay our wines down really for two reasons. One, we lay our wines down is because we want that cork to stay moist. If that cork stays moist, it's going to stay compacted, and it's not going to allow as much oxidization to come in. And a lot of wines, you want that because that's going to help with that aging process. Okay, so if wine, unlike whiskeys, wine will still age while it's in the bottle. Whiskeys, once they're bottled and corked, once they're out of the barrel, they stopped aging. They don't gain any new flavors. They can lose flavors, but it takes a number of years after that.
mm-hmm.
So what it's easy to equate a screw top bottle of wine as a cheap wine, and that's not necessarily
Makes me feel like
wrong.
I'm up a soda.
that's not necessarily wrong, but it's not in the fact of how it was made.
Right.
It's a cheaper wine in that it's not a wine that you're going to sit and let rest for, another 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years. It's
Correct.
intended to be a wine that's drank right away. So really, honestly, because that's a wine that's intended to be drank right away, and we've known this, for as long as we've known Messina Hoff, and if we've known this wine,
Right.
it's probably cutting down on cost.
Right.
So that's the long-winded version of it.
Right. And, I kind of like, and I kind of thought that, and I've read that it is doing the cost, but it's just, to me, just like, I don't feel like it's wine. And this is where the bouginess is coming in. I like to pop, I like to do the cork and all that. But I will say, I'm enjoying the wine to the
Mm-hmm.
cigar better than the cigar to the wine, just off the bat, because I'm getting
Okay.
more of the floor in the cigar, and that is very, very subtle, and it's picked it up, and I really enjoy that in the cigar. I haven't really it hasn't been in my face before like this, so that part's cool.
That is cool. I'm in. I mean, I don't know if you can tell. Besides the fact that I'm just hungry, but I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the chicken with the cigar because the chicken. And I was going to say surprisingly enough, but really not surprisingly enough, the chicken is bringing out the earthiness of the cigar. But I'm also picking up a little bit of weightiness, something that we would, commonly classify as gaminess. But I don't want to say gaminess just because I'm eating chicken.
Right.
But it's the body of the smoke. Which, remember, the body of the smoke is one. It's two parts. It's how much smoke it is and how heavy the smoke feels in our
mouth.
In our mouth. The body of the smoke went from a medium full to a full. It feels a lot heavier from the eating the chicken and then taking a draw on the cigar. And the funny thing about chicken.
Holy. I feel like sorry. I feel like I'm smoking a different cigar now.
For the chicken to the cigar?
Chicken to the cigar. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
The funny thing about chicken is that chicken, you compare it with a full body red, you compare it with a light red, you compare it with a nice light rosé, you compare it with a sweet rosé, and you compare it with a dry white.
Right.
You don't want to. It's the only classification out of all of those wines that you don't want to pair with the chicken is a sweet white.
Right. Okay. So we got our chicken from the same place.
Mm-hmm.
Do you taste the sweetness on the chicken, like in the glaze that they use?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
And I got the barbecue sauce with it, although it's back in the house, but I didn't have any barbecue sauce put on it, so it's just a straight rotisserie chicken.
And that's what I got. Now, I'm tasting a lot more sweetness on my cigar. Like, and I don't want to say it's like a graham cracker sweetness.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so my sides. My sides was mashed potatoes and cilantro rice.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took a bite of the cilantro rice and then took a draw off the cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a pepper bomb.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was like a pepper bomb. Now, you know this cigar as well as I do.
Mm-hmm.
This is a phenomenal cigar, but it's not a pepper bomb.
Not.
The pepper notes are usually subtle, and you really pick them up at that back end. But man, as soon as I took that draw, it was like a funnel of black pepper just coming in. That's why I went, wow.
Yeah. So crazy thing is I'm going to ask you on this, because when you go from a chicken to a wine, if or for me, like chicken gets lost, you get lost in that, flavor. So, so I was just kind of like, you lose that. So I just kind of want to let people know, especially when you're drinking a red, and especially medium to full red, is you might lose that. And that's why they always say, go for something bigger, like something. So, so there's, I did note that. I'm about to try my sides, but I do want to answer Rod's questions, because he said beer can chicken would be an interesting pairing. Have you guys done before? So, I that is my life. I always smoke beer can chicken. That's one of my favorite things to do. I do beer can chicken, beer can turkeys, anything you can sit on a can. I'm gonna try to do it. And I have smoked, and I'm gonna say this. I've done normally I go for like a Honduras or Dominican when I do a beer can, but it also depends on what seasoning I've done. So like I've done like the carnitas with a Mexican dry rub that I created for my chicken, and I had like queso and now I just had a mind blank. The corn that's got the mayonnaise and that corn with it's got the mayonnaise, the different spices. Oh, it's like my favorite corn in the whole wide world. It's a Mexican.
We always call it just Mexican corn. I know there's a specific name for it, but every time John, my son, wants it, he goes, "Dad, can you make that Mexican corn?"
Right. So I've done like the carnitas with that, the street taco with the beer can. But I'm going to tell you, it depends on the spice and the glaze that you use whenever, and you kind of think about that when you're doing meats, because the spices and rubs and the glaze that's used on it impacts the flavor, and especially if they're using a beer, it depends on what the beer. So normally I try to go. I pair my herbs and my beer in together with that. I go based on that because that's the flavor that my chicken's going to do. Like I would do a hoppy IPA with like rosemary, like that kind of like earthy stuff, and I would smoke I'm having a mind
that would go beautifully with a candela.
Candela, thank you. I was going to say with the candela, I've done that. So it depends on the rub. That's why I'm saying.
Here's the thing about food, okay? So it's one thing when we're pairing a cigar to a drink. And we've always said pick out your cigar first and then pair that to the drink because you want to start off with the most complex and then marry that up to that, right?
Right.
Now, when we add wine to it, because wines are so complex in nature and so complex in all of their flavors, just like a cigar is, and there's a lot of similarities to how wine grapes are grown and, and that process and the fermentation process as there is with, the soils and how the soils are treated with grapes as there is with tobacco. So you add another layer of complexity on that. Now when you're adding food, and you've got that, and food being much more complex than either of them together is why you always pick out your food and then you pair your wine to the food because you want the wine to match it. If we were drinking Cab Francs or Cab Sauves or, just, a Grenache, a really big, bold wine, then the pairing, we would completely lose everything in the chicken out to it, 100%. You have a look on your face.
Yeah. So I did sweet potatoes because sweet potatoes is, the South. Grew up in the South in Alabama, and even though I'm not from Alabama, my food comes from Alabama because my mom is from Alabama. So whenever we make our like squash or sweet potatoes, we do it with marshmallows and brown sugar, and butter. We go to the extreme. Okay. I can't taste the wine after I took a bite. I got lost. And the cigar, I picked more of like a chocolatey note, like a cocoa, when I had the sweet potatoes. And like the mac and cheese was just hanging out. There was nothing special about the mac and cheese, which I kind of thought, it might be that way. But you never know because of how cheesy it is. But like the mac and cheese is just like, I'm here and I'm just going to pass out whenever you.
I'm here and I'm just going to make you fuller faster.
Yeah, I'm giving you your heart.
That's exact. You perfectly described the mashed potatoes. Mashed potatoes doesn't go one way or the other. It's just like, I'm here. Okay. And honestly, that's why I'm kind of ignoring the mashed potatoes right now. I'll eat those later when I can add a little bit more butter and heat them up in the microwave. It's interesting. What I just did was bite of chicken, cigar, drink, cilantro, cigar. And all of those together were still on the palate, not cleansing my palate in between of those.
Right.
I get everything that was described beforehand. So I get the pepper bomb with the earthy, the little bit of the earthy notes to it, still getting some of the sweet notes from the cigar itself, and the heavier weighted gamey type smoke to it. I have yet to go just from wine to cigar and cigar to wine because I'm having so much fun with the food.
I'm just like getting so much because there is that part with the Oliva V that has a sweetness to it. It's that chocolatey with it.
Okay, yeah.
And and it's also like a graham cracker. I haven't it feels like it's just like San Andreas. I'm just having a San Andreas with everything.
But that cigar doesn't have any San Andreas in it.
Ding, 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 ding. That is my point.
That's
I don't know any better. I was sitting there thinking, okay, this is a San Andreas wrapper. This is a San Andreas binder. This is San Andreas long fillers, which is like insane.
It's that is insane because that's actually an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Bert says, I think with food pairing with a cigar that no matter what meat, chicken, fish, or pork you pick, it really comes down to the seasoning of that'll bring out the flavors of the cigar. It very well could be, but I'm kind of, you've got your red meats where you've got some really bold flavors in the red meat, even without any seasoning at all. So this has got my curiosity going on to maybe possibly wanting to do this with a nice marbleized, lots of fat in it, marbleized steak, like a good New York strip or T-bone or something like that,
with seasoning.
Huh?
You have to have it naked with no seasoning.
Yeah, naked with no seasoning, and then seeing how that would go with a cigar. But I think you're going to have to come with a bolder, really intense flavor cigar. So I would probably say a Nicaraguan, Esteli, Condego, possibly like the the porcelain, some of the names of the black rife, the black label is slipping my mind.
Like Killer Bee would be.
Killer Bee would be good.
I'm also gonna go what tonight I would have gone I really would have loved to try is the Salvation. It's just like one of their core lines that's there, and Lawless. That would have been
Lawless. That's the one. Lawless is the one that I was thinking about.
Lawless would be really good with this because it's like that hay taste to it. Boondock Saints with a steak. I think the Boondock Saints with a steak. I can't say that. Boondock Saints with the steak. Golly.
With the steak, I think.
But here's my thing. I'm gonna play on that one because It really depends because like some and here's some people and I am big. I do like with when it comes to my meat and stuff when I fed my kids, I gave my kids all organic because my mom grew up on a farm and all that. I didn't give them like I fed them organic chickens and meats and all vegetables, all that stuff. There is a huge difference in taste, and I'm going to tell you this. People can come at me and fight me and all this stuff, but if you have a chicken that was free ranged, not locked up in a pen 24/7, and I'm not going PETA on you.
Oh, I
That's
know you're
not,
not.
but my thing is like you get more flavor and intensity in that chicken than you do say another chicken. And it's not to say that I haven't used a frozen bag of chicken that wasn't organic, okay? But I'm just telling you, even if you cook it naked, I'm gonna call it naked, you get more flavor. And then here's another thing, is like I also it depends on like the grain, and I know
Mm-hmm.
this. Okay, so let's think about our meat cow that that their feet never touch the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
They live a better life than I do. Like I mean, I almost live this life. They get massages, they get the best grain, they get pampered 24/7. And their meat is so expensive, and you're paying for that meat because of everything that's going into that, because it's more of a natural rich thing. So um that's kind of like with that, I'm going to make sure I think the cigar has an impact. I would pair that. And I'm not trying to be not trying to be, but I really think that it depends on also the cut of the meat. Because like I mean, you think about the brisket, you have the brisket and the flat. You have your you have like when you're cooking a brisket, you have two parts of it. You have your flat and
Mm-hmm.
the other piece. And right now I'm telling y'all, I'm having mind blank today. But when I make a brisket, I cut the flat off and I separate it. And it's because it cooks at different times and temperatures. And one meat is more fat. Like the flat doesn't have that much fat on it. So I think the cut of meat also has an impact on the taste of it.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think all of that has, all of that comes into play on it. How long has the meat been aged? That's going to come into play on it. Are you pairing this with a younger cigar, an older cigar? Are you pairing this with a cigar that came out of a really highly hydrated climate, or was it more of a drier climate, which is going to play heavier on the earthier tones, where it's gotten a lot of good waters, natural watering and that type of fertilization, and cross pollination. What's going to happen there? All of that comes into play.
Mm-hmm. Um, Also, I've noticed, I don't know if you noticed. Okay, so I love skin on my meat,
Mm-hmm.
on my chicken. I really like when it's a rotisserie, I love the skin on it.
Oh
So,
yeah.
or smoked. I want the skin. So, have you noticed the difference between the taste on your cigar and your wines and your other stuff with just like naked, completely naked without skin, like this bite, and you smoke your cigar? It's a different taste than if you have it with the skin because of the flavoring and the seasoning. I don't know if like
No,
anybody else is. Ow, almost burned myself. So has anybody else?
well, so Bert said earlier that the greasiness of the chicken drowned the flavors of the
Oh,
cigar. However, the Don Kiki Platinum and the red wine perfection, and I can see that. So
I,
I just did the skin, and the skin by itself, and the greasiness of it, and I think all of the flavors to it did drown out my cigar. Where just the meat, just the white meat or the dark meat of the chicken, is where I was getting more of the the earthiness and getting more of the gaminess, the meatiness of it. So yeah, I
mhm.
can see that.
Well, and I kind of like, I was trying to find Chris's comment. It says the fattiness of a good steak, I think, coats the palate and keeps the cigars from, like, I can totally see that happening with this.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening too, and that goes along the lines of what we were talking about, a couple of weeks ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago with the oiliness of a higher proof bourbon. To where that oiliness that coats your tongue, and that helps cut the proof, but that also helps the flavors of the cigar come out as
Hmm.
well. So yeah, I can see that. What are some other pairings that are going on, and chime in with what you guys have experienced as well, because I know that I've seen Rod do a lot of cigars and food and
Food.
wine.
He does a lot of cigars and food. So, like,
Yes, he
he
does.
goes,
Rod does a lot of cigars and food and wine. So I'm interested in hearing what some of your guys, and Chris is always doing cigars and food.
yeah. So here's the thing: is like when I said, okay, remember I talked about a whole, like, whenever I have like the sweetness of the skin, I felt like I was
Mhm.
smoking a San Andreas, which we know this is not. There's no San Andreas in this
Mm-mm.
cigar. Um, it now it's like when I just have just the side of the chicken without the skin on it, it's more earthy. I get more of that earthy notes that I normally get. And it's the same with the mac and cheese, you know. Um, but it's funny because I was almost tempted to do like the cilantro lime, but I was like, it doesn't really go with my sweet potatoes. So I had to have it. But I
Yes,
want
it.
to do a bite that has like all three, like the chicken and the sweet potatoes. And I know that's probably will gross some people out. So here's my thing. I'm going to forewarn you that I'm going to do that just because I want to taste what all of it tastes together with the cigar and wine.
Hmm.
You know, because like I know, okay, so my daughter, I've said it, she has autism, so she doesn't let her, she like has separate for her food, which is fine. But with me
Right.
growing up, we took bites. We would take chicken and we would put everything that was on our plate in one bite. So that way you get a different taste from it. So I'm going old school to do that to see what it's like. So if it grosses you out, I apologize, but I'm doing food.
I think a game meat. Bert says
Mm-hmm.
game meat would be interesting. Elk or buffalo. I think so too. I think game meat would be really interesting, and maybe some more. Trying to like a little bit more of an exotic type meat,
Mm-hmm.
like alligator or frog legs, rabbit. Get really exotic and get into like rattlesnake.
I got spicy.
I can see that.
I got some spice. Like I'm trying to think, like almost like an allspice.
Interesting. An allspice. Hmm.
Mm. So I'm gonna do that with my wine now, and I'm trying to like I think my mother would be proud of me for the way I'm doing my etiquette and my and I just want to say, I normally put like pepper on my food. Tonight, I did not do that because I wanted to get like the actual true seasoning of what they did.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and I even went into my cupboard and grabbed the salt and pepper, and was like, nope, not going to do that. Put the salt and pepper back up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just now, and you and I both have done this so many times. I'm just enjoying this cigar.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna say I'm completely like because the reason I picked this is because it was like I wanted more of that natural kind of like flavors of like because sometimes like you get that leather coffee hay note from the cigar and pepper, and I picked it because that's what I wanted was that all natural flavor. And I'm getting a lot of sweetness, which I'm just completely shocked about from
But
the chicken.
is that a good shock, or is this?
It's a phenomenal shock. you know I'm just thinking, okay, if this was like, and I almost brought out some of our smoking barbecue chocolate
Oh man,
to in the
I
middle with, but I'm just kind of like I'm really shocked. And so like because several of y'all have smoked the Oliva V. This is like one of my go-to sticks, one of my tops. I enjoy it. But it's just so interesting how it's changed just because of my food.
find it very interesting too.
And
And how each food changes it differently.
mm-hmm. And so now I'm probably going to end up eating this. That's okay. So chicken.
You're going to have to repeat what you just said.
I'm
You
probably
cut in and out.
this whole thing, and that's okay because like there's sometimes like I haven't like been eating a whole lot of food here recently, but like I had that with the wine, and the wine is pretty bold and it stands up on its own. But the wine kind of has died down whenever you have the chicken just by itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as in my face. But I'm eating the fatty, greasy part of the chicken. So I want to bring that up because Bert and Chris both said like when that fattiness is on your palate, it changes your palate.
And it does. It absolutely does. So now Chris just put in an interesting, and this kind of goes back to one of our earlier shows. Earlier, I had a DC De Pajero with Cherry Coke. Decent pairing and excellent cigar. Coke has never paired well with anything for me, and I drink Cokes very rarely. So interesting that he's found a
Cherry Coke,
Cherry Coke, a soft drink pairing that he comes back and says decent pairing. Something that we didn't find when we did the show. I wonder how it is, everybody watching us stuffing our face with food and then taking us a drink and smoking a cigar, and sometimes talking with our mouth full.
I'm gonna say like like the fattiness part of the chicken on the legs at the end of the legs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's got a certain taste to it, right? And I just had the sweet potatoes, and it's like, blech.
Okay, so I just tried the mashed potatoes just by itself with the cigar, and I taste mashed potatoes.
But I'm not too shocked because it's a start. It's a not a start. Is it a starch or carbohydrate?
No, mashed potatoes is a starch.
Yeah, it's starch. So I'm going to cleanse my palate and try a cigar to my cheesy mac and cheese. Because earlier my mac and cheese was just saying, hey, I'm here. I'm chilling. Y'all have a good evening.
I'm interested to see. All right, so we got our challenge for next week.
Oh, a cookie.
So I need to reach out to my buddy Vinny, who does those big
cookies that are bigger
cookies
that are thick.
Yes, to see if I can get a couple from him, and maybe we can nail it down to where he's on the show with us.
That's what I was gonna say, because
I'll send him a message tomorrow on that. See if we can get ourselves some of those and bring him on the show. But I like that idea. I'm enjoying this, and and this is said, this isn't our first time that we've done a food pairing. One of my first pairing articles that was published outside of our website originated from a food cigar wine pairing, to where had an authentic pulled pork Cuban dinner. Ooh, that did not look good.
I feel like I'm a cow that licked a salt block.
Wow.
Like, and I said, y'all heard me say it, that I didn't put any salt and pepper on this.
Now, is that from the wine or is that from the cigar?
No, from the cigar.
Wow.
I had water. I hadn't had my wine yet. And that I was not expecting, like, that is like, I'm sorry, that was like a salt, like, and I did it twice to make sure it wasn't like they didn't add extra salt to the mac and cheese. And it was like salt lick tar, and it also had tar to it. And I know my cigar didn't have tar taste to it.
So it was like Abby was making the mac and cheese, and she dumped the entire Morton's thing on it.
Mm-hmm. It was. Oh. Okay, sorry.
Don't be sorry. That's interesting.
I'm just shocked. It's like I've never smoked this dadgum cigar before. Like, and it's one of my go-tos, y'all. It's one that, and here's the interesting thing. I've had this cigar with red wine, but it was with an apothic, and it was I think it was the black one, which is a very good one if you haven't had, by the way.
Which that is, if I remember right, that is that's the Cab Sauv blend as opposed to the Merlot blend.
So like I'm like trying to get this, and so remember how I said usually like I wanted that natural taste of like earthiness and just kind of like leather. I wanted a very natural taste. That is what I can taste that in my cigar. Like all my sweetness have gone. So now I'm going to try it with my wine. No, I want to do my mac and cheese with the wine because it's just like because I haven't tried the mac and cheese first. I always did the other things first.
Okay, so this will be interesting to see how this happens. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we get to see Ash Red eating on the show a beautiful mac and cheese made by the one and only Boston Market.
Give him props out. Mac and cheese disappeared. Yay. And it's not like it's bad mac and cheese.
No, I've had that mac and cheese quite a few times. In fact, I almost ordered it, but I wasn't going to go mac and cheese and mashed potatoes, so that's why I went with the cilantro rice. And they didn't. They had the steamed broccoli, and I was wanting something like baked beans or corn or green beans, but I didn't want to go with the steam. I didn't want to go with the steamed broccoli because
that'd have been too much.
Well, and broccoli, I love broccoli, but broccoli has a little bit of a bitter note to it, unless you're adding butter and salt and pepper, and you're really just kind of seasoning up. Broccoli's got a little bit of a bitterness to it, and I didn't want that with the cigar.
No, and that's the thing is like there are certain vegetables that will not pair well with the cigar. And that's exactly what I was thinking when I heard the choice of broccoli. I was like, no. And I love.
I love broccoli. Brussels sprouts would be another one. Asparagus. I asparagus and okra. I just really don't think that those types of foods, those types of vegetables, would go good because unless they're seasoned in their cooking, which you normally season every single one of those when you cook them, they have a bit of that bitter,
right?
That rainy bitters, kind of like that rainy bitterness that you get out of an orange peel. It has that rainy bitterness to it that just doesn't seem like that would go good with it,
right?
By itself.
I want to see how like Bert is doing on his pairing because I'm sure his cigar has transitioned, and he was talking about like the wine and the cigar were like perfect, but when he was doing it with the other things, so Bert, I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, he just said the Don Kiki. He said, Karen Berger, the Don Kiki is an excellent cigar. Thank you for the perfection. And he also stated that the mac and cheese was way too runny.
Huh.
So did he do? Bert? Did you do Boston Market as well?
He said he did chicken. I was trying to look. He said he did chicken, mac and cheese. Okay, what else did you do?
While he's frantically typing.
Yeah. Well, in here, hello, Matt, Martin. Hello, happy Wednesday. Sorry, we didn't see that.
He said, so Bert said, yes, he did do Boston Market.
Okay. So, and here's another thing, and Chris brought this up, and I want to do this. So, I've had the red meat lovers with steak before. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I eat my steak, and it, I always make a joke, and some, like, my kids can't stand it. They're like, bleh. I eat it where it's still moving, like 2 minutes, flip it over, 2 minutes, and he's doing the sweet potatoes. So, like, that is like one thing that, I've paired my steaks with the red meat lovers. Hence, it's what I go to whenever I've done like a steak in that. But I want to kind of like, there is a steakhouse called Chamberlain's out in Dallas. Lounge. And steak. So you go there and you can smoke and eat. Like, it's kind of hard now to find places that you can do that. Unless you're like at an outside patio place.
Right.
So went into Chamberlain's, had the steaks, and I think I did a Kristoff with your. I can't remember
You
which.
did. Nope, you did a pissed off.
I did a pissed off Kristoff with my steak, and I'm trying to remember the sides that I did. Wish I could remember. If someone is on my Instagram, if you can go back and look at my pictures, I would greatly appreciate it. That would be fantastic. So I did do something, and I would have probably say it was a garlic mashed potatoes because that's what it seemed like it would go well with it, you know. But I did that, and that was phenomenal. But then I did dessert because I'm gonna enjoy, and I think I did a red wine with that. Then for dessert, I did a port, and I did a sponge cake with fresh fruit
Interesting.
on it, with fresh fruit and a little bit of ice cream because I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat that much. I probably like just kind of drizzled a little bit of the ice cream on it. And I smoked Anya's cigar, the Don Fausto, with my dessert. And that was phenomenal right there. And I don't know if I'm frozen or if Graybeard's frozen. Graybeard, you there? Hello? I still see me moving on, but I don't see Graybeard. I have lost Graybeard. Hey, can someone say hi if you can see me? If you can say hello, because I don't know if I need to get out or what. Can someone say something? Oh, okay. So I did port. Hold on. I made a comment. I know I did a port with Don filet mignon. Yeah, rare meat is, yeah. Albert says rare meat is eating a bloody chewy steak. No, it's not. It's yummy. It brings out, you get more of the flavors, the natural flavors.
Yes, Bert, I am frozen because I am outside, but not because of the weather. I mean, it's a nice 49 degrees, but my internet dropped and then came back on, so I apologize for the technical difficulties.
I was like, is it me? And I'm like, someone say something so I know. Okay, so thank you.
I was saying the same thing. Hey, we've got somebody on from LinkedIn.
Yay, hello.
Hello. Am I back?
Okay, you're back. You said all I heard was we got someone from LinkedIn, and then your mouth was moving.
Vincent Yang on LinkedIn is on with us. My connection is not very strong right now for some reason, and we've got 3 people on Facebook, and we got 2 people on YouTube. So thanks for joining us on the different channels.
Yes. So I'm gonna say that my favorite was this is gonna be I've really enjoyed my this is my picks, okay? My sweet potatoes, my wine, and my cigar. I've liked those 4.
Your sweet potato, your wine, and your cigars. Okay.
And my chicken.
Okay.
Because, and I think, like as I said, the skin from the chicken brought out some sweetness to the cigar that just kind of, did that. And we kind of said that it was a semi-sweet wine.
Right.
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 So I'm enjoying all that.
I'm enjoying all of this. I think I really like the cilantro rice better than the chicken, just because it brings out that explosion of that pepper bomb. And you know how I love my my spicy peppery cigars. So now that I'm down to the very final third
Which
of this,
is up on that pepper.
yes. Oh, it does.
So I want you to do the lime and the cigar, the cilantro lime. That is so mean of me.
Wow. Mm. I got to do that one again.
And that's the thing is sometimes you have to do it a couple times because you're gonna miss some flavors in there.
Well,
Especially
I
something.
want to retro on this one too. Mm. That is a pepper atomic bomb. Wow. I mean, full palate from the beginning of the tongue to the full, cavity of your mouth, the roof, the tongue, the sides, and then on the retrohale, it was like ginger and cinnamon. So it's kind of like the sweetness that was being overpowered by all of the pepper, the black pepper, was there in the retro. Twice confirmed on that. And okay, so here's a little bit of full disclosure. Not everybody knows that I wear dentures.
Mm-hmm.
I have no teeth unless I'm wearing my dentures, and I've gotten very good at popping my dentures out where nobody notice. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because that has an impact on the flavors that you get, because you get notes off of the roof of your mouth as well. That says the roof of your mouth. Oh my goodness, what happened?
I'm sorry. You know, like gizzard. You know that gaminess of gizzard.
Yeah.
I just got that. It was like.
So what did you do? What did
to the cigar?
You took what to the cigar?
I did the chicken to the cigar, and I'm getting towards that transition of the third.
Mm-hmm.
And I got gizzard taste, and it wasn't my chicken. My chicken was fine, but it's kind of like that soil earthiness.
That's exactly what I was describing. What I was getting all along. What was that? Was that soil earthiness, and it's that really heavy gaminess.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't eat gizzards, so I couldn't tell you, but
it was a gizzard, and it shocked the heck out of me. Sorry, go ahead.
So that's all right. So the whole reason why I went down the dentures part is because when I popped out my dentures, now I'm getting even more of an explosion of the flavors, and that going from the cilantro to the cigar and that pepper hit was everywhere. I mean, I felt it on the roof of my mouth, my tongue, the entire cavity of my mouth, palate there with it. And then when I retroed, as I was saying, it was that sweet ginger, cinnamon, cooking spice type note with it, which provided really interesting contrast from the black pepper. And I mean, that black pepper was like, you know how like when you put a bit too much pepper on some food?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's just like really powerful in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Which I like that on a cigar. I don't like that on my food, but I like that on a cigar. It was that.
Okay. Now, as we know, most boutiques, when they get to the final third, they pick up in flavor.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole time I've been saying my sweet potatoes, I could taste sweet, 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 sweet. I taste more of the actual, like a sweet potato without the brown sugar. It's mellowed out my sweet potatoes.
You kind of froze that time.
Oh, I did? Okay. So I was having my cigar, then I went to my sweet potatoes. And this whole time, the sweet potatoes have been like sweet. It's been like the sweetness, right? Like
Right.
now that we're at the final third of our cigars, and your cigars get stronger with boutiques, correct? As we get to the final ones, we pick up. It has completely mellowed out that brown sugar and that creaminess.
That's interesting. Now I want to ask you on this because both of us are smoking very similar blends of cigars.
Mhm.
Mine's an Ecuadorian Corojo. Yours is an Ecuadorian. I can't remember if it's the Habano or if it's a Corojo as well, but both Ecuadorian. And we've talked about in the past with Ecuadorians that we do get a little bit of that tropical fruit note somewhere in there. So there's some fruitiness. There's definitely earthiness and floral because that's Ecuadorians are known for that.
Mhm.
But we usually, a lot of times we'll get a little bit of a fruitiness, and it's specifically a tropical fruit note in it. Are you getting that with any of this pairing?
None.
Me either.
Like,
Me.
there's no fruit. And normally
No.
I get a stone fruit on
Yeah.
there. And my thing is I'm wondering also is if because our wines, so I'm gonna go back to our wines, right? It's like we have our grapes in it, right? So I said I had a blend, right? And I told you mine.
Yes, it's a blend.
It's a lighter style, yeah. So
and I want to say that's a Malbec that has a Malbec blend in it, which that would be where you're getting it's getting the sweetiness from it.
right.
Malbec's is a lighter body. It's not a full heavy body.
Right. So and usually whenever you have wine and like I've had it where the wine enhances that stone fruit.
Mm-hmm.
The port when you're having a port. But I'm not getting, like, even if I do the wine and the cigar together, I'm not getting that.
It could be because that the cigar just can't stand up to these wines.
And that's what I'm kind of thinking. And I didn't want to go with like a too light of a wine because then I'd lose it,
I almost went with a Chardonnay, with a Chilean oat Chardonnay. But I chose a red because I'm, like you, I'm just a fan of reds. I love my reds, and this isn't a bad pairing. It's not a bad pairing at all. It's really interesting mixing in the food, the chicken, and such the differences. For me, from the cilantro rice to the chicken, and that with the wine and the cigar. I think if we were to do this type of pairing again,
I would like to try white.
I would either, well, with this particular, with the chicken, the cilantro, and the red, I'm almost thinking that I would go with like a Dominican Cameroon.
And see, I really wanted a Honduras or Dominican. That's what I was thinking. So, yeah, I honestly think that the white port would have been phenomenal with my chicken.
It's, yeah,
I kind of
that would be.
sad that I drank the entire bottle of white port because I really would have enjoyed it with this. I think it would have gone better with this meal and cigar. I really do.
That would be interesting to see how that does for sure. I've got a white Cab Sav
It would be
that.
nice to have a part two with the white. Like I do a white port, just change up the line.
Well, so, okay, so let's do this. If we can't get Vince on for next week for the cookie, because I don't want to do a cookie without him, because I promised him that I would do a cookie with him.
Yeah. So
And his cookies are phenomenal. If we can't get him on for next week, then let's do that. Let's do a part two with a white, and let's go with a Cameroon, and possibly preferably a Dominican Cameroon.
Okay. Because I think that the white port would have done phenomenal with all of it, with the cigar and the chicken, and to me, I'd rather almost like forget the mac and cheese and just do, a different side.
You've got to do the cilantro rice. I'm not kidding you. That cilantro, the cilantro rice is actually blowing my mind with this pairing and what it's doing with the cigar. And I want to see what your thoughts and your impression is on it.
And now that now I've gotten like, I'm sad. I'm like at the final third where I'm at that part, and where the peppery and all that stuff is, and I'm like full. I'm like, I'm gonna have to force myself to eat like some chicken and.
I'm full too. I don't know if you've seen, I've kind of slowed down.
But see, like I also brought, because I thought I would be an overachiever, and I brought my Viaje holiday blend, because if this one has like, and I'm gonna switch over to it, and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do the Oliva Viva, because this one has a lot of like that famous heat. So that's kind of, I thought that it was going to be, is what I was looking for, was more of this. But I was like, no, I'm going to do my Oliva V, because I just thought it would go really well with the wine.
Well, and see, and I brought out also the ZR Lagarto, which is also a Ecuadorian wrapper, but this is an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, and I thought that it would be a little bit too earthy, but I'm thinking, and that's why I started off with the Luciano, and I'm thinking that this one here might have been a little bit of a better pairing.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, for our part two of this, let's go with a Dominican, but let's go with the Dominican Cameroon. That way we get a bit more of that intensity. We still have the earthiness to it. We still have the florals to it, but we get a little bit more of the earthiness and the that earthy, creamy type notes that you get off that Cameroon.
Okay. Chicken in the final part of my cigar. Nuh-uh.
Yeah, no, I got the cilantro. What's that?
You know how fish smells? Like
yeah.
When you once heated up fish? That's the taste I'm getting with the chicken and the cigar in the final third.
I think that would be a challenging pairing with food too. With a fish, and a really strong, bold fish like a halibut, a flounder, maybe like a mahi mahi or a redfish, something like that. Something that's not overly oily, like a catfish or a tilapia. Have you? But that's those really gamey, deep gamey type fishes. I think that would be an interesting pairing.
Yeah. I can't get that taste out of my mouth. Water time.
I'm wine now, and I'm not going to light up the second one. So I'm curious from our audience. What do you guys think about what we've done here? I mean, we've done a lot of shows. We've covered just about every type of drink that you can think of. Although I did pick up a gin that I'm going to show you offline. Okay. I picked up a gin this weekend that I'm going to show you offline. That just blew me away, and it's a Texas gin.
Whoop, whoop, go.
And so I'm going. It's a Texas, and it's a Texas dry. They call it a dry gin. But I'm going to message them, and I'll send you the pictures and send you the info on them and see if we can get them on the show, and do a show on a gin that's not a gin cocktail, but it's a straight gin. I'm going to chill it because it's really good chilled. But I think we should do that. But I'm curious from our audience, those who are still on with us, what have y'all thought about this? And like I said, we've done just about every type of drink pairing that we can come up with. We've done a lot over the past year and a half. What do you think about this episode that we're just wrapping up here of the full meal and drink pairing?
Well, I'm just
it's not greenhouse. Bird, it's not greenhouse.
A lot of cookies. He's gonna make me go into a diabetic coma or diabetes. Let's call it a diabetes coma.
Diabetes.
Yeah, but it is like at the end. It is very interesting how like my cigar is picked up straight, but it's not normally like when I've smoked this isn't the normal taste that I get from this cigar at the end. And it's almost like and I'm trying not to do the bitter beer taste, because we've said it, whenever you eat, your mouth is coated, your palate's coated with whatever seasoning and everything else. And it's normally, this is my favorite part of the cigar is in the end. Y'all see me nub things, but in all honesty, and it's nothing against Oliva V. Oh, it's nothing against the cigar, but because of all the different things on my palate, it is not pairing well with the cigar.
Interesting.
Which I thought, if anything, I was going to enjoy the final third of the cigar with everything I had on here. I'm just shocked. It feels like I almost need to purge it, and I know I don't need to purge it because it's doing well. I don't have a hard ash or anything.
It's probably just all the food, especially the chicken.
And I know it's the chicken. I'm blaming the chicken.
Well, and that's the thing. Okay, so rotisserie chicken is very greasy. Mm-hmm. And because it's very greasy, it's really coating all of those oils. All of those oils is coating your palate, coating your mouth, and it takes a while for those to be cut through. So you're probably getting that lingering of it. So just like the the high proof bourbons and whiskeys, where it's really oily, has that long finish. The chicken has that long finish with it. So I think that's something that we got to watch for. And the rotisseries got that, as opposed to, say, like a boneless, skinless, pan seared type.
Yeah, or I would say, or oven. I want to say thank you so much, Kim, for watching. We appreciate it. She thought it was cool for she's putting together furniture. That's fun. I enjoy
That
that.
is fun.
You make me want to be doing a dinner and a wine pairing. I'm not much for cigars. And you know what?
Well,
That's okay if you're not much for the cigars. We're here for food and wine. So, you know, you can get more than that. So, thank you, uh, Bert. He answered that. He goes, I think y'all are moving in the right direction. Twisted Pair is doing what you all wanted for 2023, taking it to the next level. So, I mean, it is, I've enjoyed it. And normally we don't get done till like 9:30, 10, and we normally don't eat till 10:30. And I know that usually I try to eat a snack before because and I know that Graybeard has, we both have our issues with food. So
yes,
we
we do.
have to eat on time. And so it's been nice to actually get to sit there and eat. I am going to say I'm extremely, and when I said, hey, let's do a chicken, I wasn't thinking that about the fattiness, but because we were both excited about chicken. But like when you sit there and you say it, yeah, the rotisserie has that because it's moving and those fattiness is cooked evenly in there. So it's more prominent as opposed to like a smoked chicken. And and I need to get those articles to you. And when you're doing smoked meat, there's certain woods that you have to use that you need to use because if you use the wrong wood, it's going to kill your meat.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's kind of why I kind of do a basic hickory because hickory is just like chill with that. That's your go-to base wood. But then you add different ones like your apple wood or your cherry wood to change the flavoring, and it does make a difference in the meats you use. So as the season gets warmer, and I don't have work, we will have to have a smoked chicken that I will have to actually get it to you before next year or 2 years.
You mean before it gets freezer burned?
Huh?
Before it gets freezer burned?
Mm-hmm. So I'll have
Well,
it's like a beer chicken or something, and that way we can answer Rod's question too, and play around with the different seasonings.
oh yeah, that would be good. I want to before we close it out tonight. I want to kind of touch, give a little heads up as to what's coming out. I think we can announce now that we have brought on a writer to help us cover coffees that he's been working with Red, and so we're going to have a couple of articles coming out soon on the different brewing methods. A little bit of a deep dive introduction and a little deep dive into the different brewing methods of coffees, and he's going to start reviewing different coffee blends as well in the future. We've got articles coming from Red on smoking and, and her ventures into smoking and some tips and tricks. And be looking out for Friday, because on Friday, I'm going to be publishing or posting to the website my top 5 old fashions for DFW West Side. So that's anything the west side of the airport. If you're familiar with how DFW is laid out, the DFW airport is kind of smack dab in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got the west side is everything west of the airport, and east side is everything east of the airport. And so that's been a long I'm going to say strenuous process because I had to drink a lot of old fashions in the process. And I had to go back and revisit those ones that I had narrowed down to my top 10 to narrow it down to the top 5 and went back and revisited them again. So,
Make sure it was.
Got to make sure. I need a little bit of sympathy for being forced to drink all of those. All of those.
I'll have sympathy for your pocketbook. That's what I'm at.
Exactly. We also have some new shop stops that Red had produced out, published or put together for me and sent it to me, and I got to get those edited. So those are going to come up on the website. And I know Cigar Traveler, as he's been out and about, that he's got some new ones that are going to be coming out as well. So yeah, lots of good content coming out to our YouTube channel and to the website as well. So keep checking out there, and I'm trying to not crack up at your expressions on your face.
Anybody knows me. Like, I need that. Like, that shirt is like, I can keep my mouth closed and not say anything, but my facial expressions are gonna say 100%. I can't fake my facial expressions. So I'm gonna say, after I had the cigar, I kind of let it rest, and then I had the very end of my wine. So I kind of, I know we're trying to end, but I also want you to explain this right here. The bottom of your wine, because you have your wine glasses, it's made this shape for a reason. Like, when you get to that very end, do you see that part?
Yep.
Your wine will taste completely different than when it was up here hanging out with the other wine. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I know there's a reason for that. Okay. But I'm going to say, after I smoked the cigar and I had the wine, it was nice. But then when I had this last part of the wine to the cigar, that's when you saw my funky face. Okay.
So let me ask you something. What is, because I'm down here almost a little bit more. What is the one thing that okay, so now you're doing it. I was just say the one thing that we do with our wine all the way throughout it, but when we get down to the bottom of it, we stop doing it because we're thinking, I'm at the end of it.
No, this is when you need to do it.
This is when you need to do it.
You need to do it.
Now aerate it a bit more and open that last bit of it, because if you think about it, when it's up to here, it's not like the wine is 100% circulating around when we're taking a sip on it. And the bottom of it really isn't getting as much aeration of it throughout it unless you do it. So now that you aerated that and you had that last sip, was it different?
Yes, it was. But it's still not good with my cigar.
Well, and I think that comes back to the chicken.
Yeah. And that is and I know that because the longer that we've sat, the more the fat has kind of hung out and it's spilling on my tongue. And I know that sounds bad, but that's the realistic, is because you've salivated more, you've salivated more, salivated more. So it tastes different, and it's not as pleasant.
No, it really isn't. And
just saying, just so you know, you're putting this together for our viewers. See, look, we are making sacrifices for you, and y'all will make that bitter beer face. That's what I'm gonna call it. I'm just gonna enjoy my wine now.
You enjoy your wine now. Well, this has been an adventure. I wasn't quite sure what to expect on this because I haven't done this type of a food pairing, especially with rotisserie chicken. I don't think I would choose rotisserie chicken next time around. I think I would choose like an oven baked, a pan seared, a smoked chicken, something along that line, something that where it's not as quite as fatty, you
Yeah.
know, not as quite as fatty or greasy. I think it's the grease from the grease from the skin
Yeah.
really is what hit me with it.
And I've like eaten, if I like, y'all saw my, like, y'all, I told y'all I love the skin. See,
Oh, are you kidding me? The skin is gone.
it's gone. So I mean, and that makes sense.
I well, and
Now that
you,
and now that we're thinking about it and talking through it, and that's what I love about this, is we're talking through it, and we both know why. Like at the time, we were like, "Oh yeah, rotisserie chicken, woo woo, let's go. This is gonna be great. We're gonna have fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah." But at the time, we weren't thinking of the fattiness.
no, we were thinking about how
Chicken,
flavorful the rotisserie chicken is. But when you take that and you bring other components in, you're kind of like going, huh, not right what I was expecting.
right?
This by a meal by itself would have been great.
Fantastic, yeah. But then you're adding extra elements to it.
And that's why we do all of that we're doing is to talk about how each of these elements come together and the flavors come together to marry to really either enhance the experience or change the experience in a completely different direction. And while it started out really good for both of us coming into the final third of our cigars, it was just like, okay, second thoughts. Maybe need to change things up a little bit. Let's change the food.
But I'm gonna say this: Graybeard and I are notorious for, we nub our cigars, y'all. We nub them,
Oh
and
yeah.
a lot of people don't nub it. So if I had this probably like a little bit to where most people like, and y'all, I work on a cigar lounge at the end. There is usually about an inch and a half of where people stop smoking, that they don't do it. An inch and a half
It,
to 2 inches is when
it's
most people
usually
cut it off.
it's usually about like this or a little bit bigger. And this is only because I ran out of time this morning. I had to get out of my meeting.
Right. And my thing is, if I had stopped then, I would have had no complaints. But because I take it, because we nub it, because that's how we are, we're nubbers. And because we nub it, that's when we were like, it's not the same. So I think if we would have cut it like that 2 inch, where most majority of the people who smoke cigars stop, it would have been good. But
I want to let's bring this out because I think this is really a good closing as we take us out. Is what Kim has said. She says, Dave and Red, I'm excited for your new adventure this year. I'm coming to Texas in a couple of weeks and would love to have some suggestions on places to go for wine and a good dinner. Now, I know Kim, offline, outside of the show. I know her personally. And so, yes, Kim would be happy to. But I want to open this up to everybody. If you're coming into Dallas Fort Worth and you don't know of any places to go for wine, for food, for cigars, for spirits, for what have you, hit us up. Let us know. We're more than happy to make recommendations. That's why we go out to all of the lounges. That's why I went out and checked out all of everything that I could find on the old fashions on DFW West Side, and I missed. I mean, I had people go, "Did you try this one?" No, I didn't. I've tried so many. There's no way I can hit possibly all of them.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
And I'm going to say this because I was actually shocked because I went to Scottsdale, Phoenix area. And I went before and I thought I hit a couple of lounges. This time going around, I didn't realize how many lounges are in that area. But now you magnify that in DFW, I mean, our lounges, our food, our wineries, our distilleries, our breweries, that's what makes this area so phenomenal. I think, yes, Florida has great cigars. Miami, you have that cigars. You do have some wineries. You do have this. But DFW, in my opinion, this is why I live here. This is why I haven't moved. This is why I haven't gone out anywhere else. And I've been to many places. I've been to all 50 states. I've been to 18 different countries. But I feel like we are a powerhouse when it comes to all of it together. I really do. And
I do too. And this is one thing about our show, and between Red and Spice Man and myself, while our main focus and drive is around cigar pairings, that's not all we know. Because we do cigar pairings, we have to know whiskeys, we have to know wines, we have to know coffees and teas and beers and food. And you're absolutely right. Every single bit of that is available here. And we know this area. And as so much as there is, we don't know all of it. I mean, there's there's places that I've missed with the old fashions. There's places that we haven't been to yet. As many cigar lounges as we've been to in this area, there's places that we haven't been to.
Yeah, it's insane. I do love Bert's comment. It says, and you agree with this. It's a trial and error, right? Like, okay, it's a trial and error, but it's great to know how your cigar pairs because we all know what wine and drink pair with. But when you add a cigar, it's taking it to that next level, which is ultimate. And I loved our show tonight.
I did too. It was fun.
Yeah, it was. I'm glad that we did this, and I can't wait for the next ones. I hope Cookie Man, Cookie Monster, can join
Cookie
us.
Monster.
Cookie Monster. So if he could join us that next week, and then the week after, do part 2 of this pairing, 100%. If not, then we'll just do the part 2, and maybe we can have Cookie Man afterwards. But I'm excited.
I am too. I'm excited for 2023. I think this is a great way to start off 2023 for us. Excited about things to come. With the website and the content we're producing out there on the website, with more content on our YouTube channel. Everybody, please go out. If you haven't gone out to our YouTube channel or to our podcast channels, please go out and subscribe. Hit follow, subscribe to us, because that only helps us out. If you're on LinkedIn, go out and follow our page on LinkedIn, because that's only going to help us out. It's going to help us grow, and by us growing, enables us to be able to bring you more and more and more content. So please go out and do that. I mean, that's the biggest way that you can show your appreciation for what we're doing. Outside of that, the only thing I've got left to say is to explore the pairings.
Because there's something for everyone. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.